Hey everybody, and welcome to the I'm Just Saying podcast. I am your host, Andrea Clinton, here with my co-host, Glamour Girl Peighton, Alex the Oblivion, and we're here for another episode of I'm Just Saying. All right, so y'all ready? Ready like Freddy? So when I act like my old Generation X African American from around the way self, y'all will know why. Not putting on no facades. So, what are we gonna talk about today? I had a Clubhouse experience. I know we're all new to Clubhouse. Y'all want to talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
What
why
about
not?
you? And I've been seeing you in the crack house lately. I passed by.
Not the crack house. No. I actually haven't been on there in a while. When I first got into Clubhouse, I was like obsessed. I was in love. Like it was great. I was in every acting room there ever was. And I think the excitement wore off, but I do think it's a great tool for people who want to like do anything. Like my roommate, I recently made him sign up for like fashion and things like that. I feel like it's a lot of resources on Clubhouse. Like people be sleeping on Clubhouse.
There's one guy who was talking real, but he was dogging it out. He was I don't want to talk too bad about him because he helped me out. He made me he gave me the inspiration that I needed to really push forth this podcast that I've been putting off for some years now. And he was like, yeah, you need to, go and do something, with entertainment. And because I was telling him that's what I wanted to do the podcast on. And so, but I saw where he did his own podcast and he was knocking the crap out of Clubhouse. He was like, it's just stupid. You're going there and you're giving away value. Value has a dollar sign to it. Those are probably my words, but he basically was saying that we should be if you have something to contribute, then you should be making money from it, monetizing and not giving it away for free. And he was like, if you were to do that video and you put it up on YouTube, at least you make money. So there were a few people that were trying to tell him like it's more than that. It's not just a take type thing. You get as much as you give in there. It is, for me, it's a whole new world, and I'm enjoying what I'm getting from it. And like you, I went into the crack house and I stayed a little too long. I went one day, I did literally all day. I went in and out during the day. But then at nighttime, I went in about maybe 10 o'clock because I go to the Screenwriters 101 room. And they always pull me up as a moderator and everything. We're like family now. And I think that got to my head, just being a part of something. And so people coming in and they're asking all these questions about writing and they're like, they're answering and either I know it or I'm learning. And then sometimes if they don't know, they'll say, Andrea, you want to take that? And I'm like, sure, like I'm a damn professor. And then I start talking and it get good to you because you're learning, you're getting, and you're giving.
Yeah.
I stayed until 4 in the morning. No, yeah, 4, almost 5. And when I woke up, I went to sleep and I woke up about maybe 8 o'clock. I only got like 3 hours and some change. I was a mess that whole day. It took me 2 days to recoup.
Yep, that sound about right. That was me my first week. I think for the entire week, I was probably on it for the entire week. Like I don't think I logged off of Clubhouse, closed the app for like 7 days straight. I was on it every day, but no, it's because it is really good information. And I get what he's saying where people can monetize, because honestly, going into a lot of the rooms, especially for actors, it felt like a workshop, like what I would pay money to see or pay money to learn, like to connect with these people. I was, being able to talk to like Twinkie Bird and, various other agents and different things like that. I was able to connect with them, meet people that could help me in my career. And I was just like, yo, this is almost unfair. Like, I feel like I'm cheating right now.
Yeah, like I can send
I'm
you some
cheating
money.
the system. Like, but at the same time, I know that a lot of people in the industry, that's not their focus. These people already have money. These agents, these casting directors, they have money. And what they want more than anything, or from what I understood from, being in the different rooms, is they want to see young people in the industry, young actors, young producers, young writers. They want to see them get on. Like, they want to see them achieve the goals that they have for themselves. And they know during this pandemic, it's shooken everyone. Like, a lot of artists aren't able to work in the way they want to, or they just don't know how to work, or where to go, or where to start, or where to finish. It's like they're all over the place. So they're given this information for free because they want to see people succeed. And I think that's even more beautiful than getting a dollar sign on that. That's more precious than adding a monetary value to something. So
introducing to everyone, Peyton the Optimist. She's the true Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Because you always think the good in people, find the good in people. Listen, I have learned I have to weigh what you tell me, because you are always so optimistic. You always see the light at the end of the tunnel and all the sunshine and all that good stuff. But I will say, to a degree, it is true, but I do believe that there's a couple of other things going on. I do believe that there's an agenda for a lot. I know casting directors that go in there just so that they can see what's out there. They want some fresh talent. They want some new people to go to. I know producers that go out there because they want to see what writers are out and about. I know some agents that go out there because they want to see, feel and get a feel of what's out there, who's out there, what fresh talent, who's the bee's knees, so to speak. And I'm almost positive. I know for myself, when I'm up there talking, and some of the actors come on and they'll say, they want to get into writing or something like that, and somehow or another, I take them right back to acting, and I tell them, because sometimes, especially if they seem interesting or they look like something that, like they look like a character that I might be interested in casting them for, I go straight. They be talking, then and sometimes, they run it. They get to talking, boy, they get going, they get ghost with it. And so I just go right to their Instagram page. I'm scrolling down the page. First thing I'm thinking is, well, as an actor, you need to fix your page. That's what I'm saying in my head. Because I'm like, here's an opportunity for people to see you act. And there's no acting. And so I end up telling them, I tell every single, if you go to Screenwriting 101 and you ask Carol, you ask Richard, you ask any one of them that's in the club, what do I say often? I always tell them about their social media pages. If you're an actor, it should represent you. If you're a writer, it should represent you. My Andrea Clinton underscore on Instagram, I always talk about to actors, or I try to put I may show something that I'm up to or doing, but not mostly. I mostly get up there and I talk about, mastering your craft. So, when you come there, that's what I'm talking about. That you're going to see me talking to actors, singers, dancers, whoever in entertainment. And I'm telling them, I'm always reminding them to hone their craft. I'll show somebody else who did an acting skit that was funny, or who did, and that's what my page is about. You don't have any questions. But when you go to an actor's page and they say they want to be the Halle Berry or the Angela Bassett or the Denzel or Lawrence Fishburne, and then you go to their page and it's willy-nilly, you don't quite, get that. And you might not care because you'll still ask them for their resume, their headshot, and their reel. But what if their Instagram page was their reel? Like that's a whole platform that they're not using. So I say all of that to say that I believe that, everybody has a motive for going in there. The same way that, some people go in there to receive, and I've done it. Some people go in to, give, but they're also going in to get something as well. I don't think anybody is that motivated. I know with COVID and wanting to help or whatever. I've talked to them behind the scenes. I've talked to them before the people started coming into the room. I talked to them on Instagram and the DMs, and it's a motive that's there. It may not be a bad motive, You know
I
what I
was
mean?
about to say, it's not a bad, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a win-win situation for me.
Yeah.
If as an actor, especially on the other side, if you looking for talent, well, I'm talent. I want to be found. Find me, please. Like, I am happy. I'm not upset if you came in here with the motive looking for somebody.
Right.
I hope you find me. Like, so
Yeah.
that's it's still a win-win. Like, you're not losing anything. And even if their intention, I mean, I do believe that a lot of them some of them come in there looking for talent, looking for people to cast. But I do think that some of them do want to just impart information on people. Like, a lot of times I go in the rooms that are like about the industry. They're talking about the industry. They're talking about the business. People come up and ask questions and things like that. Now, in the monologue rooms, I feel like absolutely, there are some people who are looking to cast you, to see what you have. And they always look at your Instagram page. Like, they're like, a lot of times, even in the ask questions about the industry rooms, they'll come up and they'll be like, well, first of all, let me tell you, your page, you need to fix that. Yep. I shouldn't see you bent over and twerking it on as the first thing on your page when you tell me you want to be a serious actor or what have you. And they tell them to fix their pages, which is great advice because it is a tool to market yourself. But at the same time, I do believe that all the intentions, whatever they may be, are still something that's going to, in the long term, help someone else.
Yeah, it's going to absolutely help.
Yeah.
I don't think there's nothing. I'm not like the guy. Like, I don't think that like, why are you going to give away free voucher? Trust me, that little tidbit that they give, even if they were there for, like, I've seen some of them do 3 days straight. I promise you, 3 days straight. And I know because I was like, wait, is this the same room that I saw yesterday? So I'll go, when I leave, I'll come back and I literally will look for them and they're still there. And then sometimes I'll listen. I'm just being nosy and I'll listen to see like, okay, but maybe they weren't on. Maybe they let somebody else take over and then they tag teaming each other. Nope, they right there. And then they'll say something like, yeah, because we've been 2 days straight. And I'm like, whoa. But but and I'm sure that even them, as a matter of fact, I believe that particular room, they were saying that they're gonna just have a couple of days a week because they went into burnout. But I believe they probably did like us. They just couldn't pull away because I feel like them coming back. But I guess they was on to something. But I absolutely believe that it's a give and it's a take. Now I tell you the room that's in question for me, and we don't have to harp on the Clubhouse too much, but the rooms that's in question to me is, I think that the help you build your Instagram page or Instagram following is good. I think the let me teach you how to work Clubhouse is good, and I think the niche rooms that will help you in certain areas are good. The one let me help you get a couple 100,000 in a couple of days, or let me show you how to make millions. That those rooms right there, I feel like they're very obvious, and I feel bad because some people are there. They're so desperate to want to make nice money, whether they were laid off. I don't even think COVID has a lot to do with it. I think some of those same people might have been in those rooms, even if it wasn't COVID, because they would feel like they're going to get a lot of value. But the thing is that I noticed they have certain things that, and I'm sure this is not across the board for everybody, but the ones that I popped in just to be nosy, I noticed that they'll talk about certain things or certain area, and if you want more information, you got to buy the book or you got to pay for the webinar or something to that effect.
Yeah, see, that immediately brings like Forex to my mind. No tea, no shade to anybody who sell Forex. No tea, no shade. I know y'all making money, and we ain't making nothing if we ain't doing Forex. We ain't doing nothing. Like, I know, like I respect y'all, but that's what I immediately think of when I hear how to make money in a few days and things like that. And who knows? It could be legitimate for some people. This is a time where people need money. It's a perfect time to get on. But listen, everybody got their agendas. Listen, get it how you live. It's no different from somebody outside selling whatever they selling on the street, like CDs or what have you. They trying to make their hustle too.
They get the grind on. But wait, you said something about Ford. What was that?
Forex? You don't know Forex?
No, I've heard somebody mention it. That's why when you said it just now, I'm like, okay, this must be a thing. What is it?
So it's pretty much foreign exchange trading, I believe. Like, so I mean, listen, I don't I don't work for them, so I can't explain it as well as they would, but it's the foreign exchange market. So you put money in and it's like trading currencies, like you're trading different currencies, and you make money off of trading different currencies. And they get a lot of people who, you know, join the team, find other people to join their teams, and they teach you how to trade, and then you make money off of trading your money in different currencies, putting money in, taking money out at the right time. Like it looks complex. I've definitely looked into it. I'm not even gonna hold you, but listen, times is hard. I'm not even gonna hold you, but you know, that's what I know about it. I know a lot of people who do it, and I am not like I said, I would never shame anybody for doing Forex. I know a lot of people who do Forex, and they claim to make a lot of money off of it, like a lot of money from their phone. But I think it's very interesting the way that they market it. Like they have no shame. They will slide in your DMs like, hey, you know, I just started a business and I wanted you to be a part of my business. And you out here thinking like, wow, you thought of me? Like, okay, what's the business? And they be like, do you want to make money from your phone? I'm like, oh, okay, it's Forex. Like, all right, cool. Like, what else? And then they try to get you to like, you have to put money down, like $200 or something to join their whatever little academy they have, and they teach you how to then trade or, you know, do whatever they do. And I mean, like I said, people say they make money off of it, and I'm not shading nobody if you make money off of it.
I have a niece, and I have one of my old students. She was telling me, and you know, Muslims, we don't invest in any and everything. We gotta make sure that, you know, it's permissible stuff that we investing in. But she invested, and I said I was gonna ask her about it, because that's the thing now. Everybody wants to, you know, take their money, whether it's their stimulus check or whatever, and they want to put it where that money can make money.
Yeah.
I would definitely be down with that, but I'm just concerned. I'm just, you know, I come up in the days of all the daggone pyramid schemes, and I don't even think they started in my day. I think they started with the baby boomers. But you know, I remember my mother saying, "Oh, that's a pyramid scheme. Put that down." And I'm like, "Okay, I didn't even know what that meant." But and then
I mean,
as I got older,
a pyramid scheme essentially means the person at the top is making more than the people at the bottom, and like they're doing less work than the people at the bottom, and you know, they add more people to the pyramid so that they can make more money. Now, does it work like that? I don't know. You know, I mean,
I'm sure it does to some degree, but I haven't quite indulged enough to figure it out. Now, two people had asked me, I won't mention names, but two people asked me, would I get down with this thing? It's really a pyramid scheme. I know for a fact, because the ingredients is just all there. However, you put X amount of $100 in, and then you do it once a month, and then in a couple of months, oh, and you get people to join, and then in a couple of months you'll get thousands. And they have done it, and they are getting it. The only problem is when somebody ducks out, then it kind of lessens, or it lessens what you'll get, some kind of something like that. I don't know, I don't want to try to, you know, guesstimate, but I just said, you know, nah, I'll pass. And don't get me wrong, for some months they are getting a nice lump. I'm talking thousands. I think she said 3,000, and then she was telling me, you know, well, if you put that, then you'll get 7,000 in 3 months. So it sound good, but you know, you know how angry and upset I would be if something happened, and I just feel like, you know, why put myself through that? Why take that chance? I've never been that kind of person. Like, if it's not a guarantee, like I know when I get up and I go to work every day, I'm going to collect that check, you know?
yeah. I mean, I've seen that, like the little four square thing, or like the little like diamond thing where you put a certain amount in, and like it's supposed to like roll over, and eventually you're supposed to get like triple whatever you put in, or quadruple or whatever. And I've actually like thought about it. It looks interesting, especially if you know the people who are involved, and you know everybody's gonna put up their money for it. But at the same time, I'm not a gambler, you know, like especially and I mean, granted, people don't look at it as gambling because it's like a sure thing, but I think that even though it's packaged differently, it just kind of seems like gambling to me. And
well, it is gambling, because if somebody do something wrong, you're taking a gamble on something. You're taking a gamble on this thing being what they said it is.
Right.
And I'm not about that life. What about you, Alex? You're gonna gamble? You want to do a pyramid scheme?
Didn't say, listen, disclaimer, I did not say that Forex was a pyramid scheme. I don't want y'all coming after me.
No. We jumped on we started talking about the pyramid scheme. That's why I'm trying to see if Alex is down, because she don't talk about a whole lot.
Yeah, no.
You're not gonna life, Alex.
She said, yeah, no. Period. Point blank, period. That's it.
No, Alex, you don't want to chip in?
I have nothing to say other than no.
Okay, that's it. Just no, period. Like, I'm not doing it. I mean, like I said, times is hard. You'd be surprised on what you get involved in, and you never know until you're a part of it. You know what it really is about. You don't know if it's gonna work until you try it out. And if you have the money, listen, a lot of people getting unemployment. I sure wish I was. But a lot of people out here getting unemployment. They got extra funds. Why not triple that money that they're giving you?
I still don't know if I would put it in there, but I'll tell you what I would do. If I was getting unemployment these days, I would take that extra 300 they throwing on top, and I would every 2 weeks, and I would invest it in mutual funds. Or I would invest it in stocks or something. Not buying.
But I mean, it's the same thing. It's all a gamble. Like, it's pretty much the same thing.
It is, but the reality on the gamble aspect of it is much lesser when you're getting ready to put it in mutual funds. Especially if you put it in something like Coca-Cola, or you put it into something like tissue with the coronavirus. And Lysol, you know what I mean? So if you're putting it, you're guaranteed to get some kind of return. And the thing, and I won't get into all of that, but the thing about mutual funds is your money is spliced in a lot of different places. So if you do take a hit, it's so tiny, and it may not even matter, because where you take a hit in one place, you double triple in another place. It's almost a short shot. Your worst case scenario is you may have a bad moment, and that's when some people jump in and they sell or whatever. But they usually tell you, yeah, I ain't gonna get into that, because I could have my ducks all messed up and somebody go do it and come for my head.
But I mean, honestly, I feel like, I don't know. I think that I don't even know how much you would make off of those type of things. Like, long term, yes. Like, you put it in for years at a time, like, or you put it in for a child or something and let it mature until they're older. But like, how much money would you actually make off of those?
Well, let me tell you,
this stage in life,
when my daughter was young, I don't know did I have my son? I think I did have my son. He was a baby, and they told me that if I paid $50, 52, I'll never forget, because I think the chick was trying to beat me on my money. But anyway, she said, if you spend if you spend $52, a portion of it would go towards the life insurance for you and your kids, and a portion of it would go towards mutual funds, and you can always up it. And so with just the 52 back then, you're talking 27 years ago, she was saying that by the time he was ready to go to school, it would have been worth, if I'm not mistaken, 50 or 60,000. Which is really not well. It's a lot for the time, but for now, well, I don't know, because nowadays people usually put more money, but it's more secure than it's surely more secure than a pyramid, because you got laws and everything that govern it. But it's beneficial, especially when you're talking about the long run. It's beneficial, because if you're talking the long run, if something goes wrong, you have time to build it back up. And I use an example without calling out any names. Somebody that I know, they have their money vested. They took they had a life insurance policy that they made them beneficiary. They dumped it all in mutual funds. 20 something 30 years later, they worth almost $200,000, and their insurance policy probably wasn't no more than about 40,000, maybe. I don't even know if it was 50 or whatever, but that's just what it rolled into. But guess what? About 15, maybe 20 years ago, I think when 9/11, whenever that was, they took a hit, and they were literally almost down to nothing. and they were about to take it out, and their person that that takes care of their agent, I guess, that takes care of their funds, told them, don't take it out, don't. And I forgot what they told them was going to happen, but they said don't, and they didn't, and it started picking back up. And sure enough, sadly, when we went into Iraq, I think that's when it started getting bigger or whatever, but I know it picked back up. And so, even when you take a hit, it's going to come. We only take a hit when we have these, life events or universal events, like 9/11 or like COVID or whatever. But even
Mm-hmm.
still with COVID, that same person didn't take that much of a hit. That I know, that from what I heard, they took a little teeny something, and they were afraid that it was going to, drop again, but it actually didn't.
Hmm.
So it's more
That's
beneficial.
interesting.
I tell anybody, because I did it, but then when she was trying to beat me out my money, I pulled it out, and I wish I would have just went to another person. But I tell anybody, if you're even thinking about having kids, start doing your mutual funds now, because then by the time in 30 years, when you're 50, you're still young. If something happens with your job or they get funky, you could just, flip them the bird and grab your coat and purse and walk out the building, and live off your mutual funds, or take them and start a business or something like that, do something different. But it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's such a good topic in general, like financial literacy in the Black community
Yeah.
in general, because like you're talking about like mutual funds and things like that. And like I said, I was fortunate to be in like a high school that was I guess like multicultural, I don't know. But in my honors class, they did teach us a little about like mutual funds and stocks and just a very little amount. But I know that most people or a lot of people don't learn about like finances, especially like in the Black community. They don't teach it in high schools, they don't teach it in schools and things
Oh,
like that. So you wouldn't know about like mutual funds or unless somebody taught you. But I feel like now in our generation, the generation before us has been trying to like kind of teach us a little bit more
yeah,
and give us a little bit more insight into like how to be financially literate and how to like build up money for your future generations. And even like you were talking about life insurance, me and my friends were recently having a conversation about life insurance. Like all of us, we're in our 20s, but it's important to start getting life insurance, to start investing in these things at
yeah,
a young age so that you're prepared for whatever happens and your family is prepared for whatever happens later.
absolutely. And I felt bad.
Yeah.
Well, I went to work, so that's probably why I didn't really go bananas, because with my job we had automatically two times our salary, and so I was pretty good. But then once we got the little raise and all that good stuff, then that's when I went and did three times my salary. But then when I left corporate, I lost all of that, and that's when I should have jumped right on it. I really should have, you know,
Hmm.
all that mutual fund. I still think about doing it now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I might, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But so that talking about Black people and financial literacy leads me into a topic. It's a little different, but maybe in the same, or attempted to be the same type of a topic. So in Clubhouse last night, since we're on Clubhouse, I was in a room, and I'll make this short because it's just really a point I wanted to make. Um, the room was supposed to be about why Black women put Black men down, right? And so they said it happened a lot. They put me up on stage, I went and they asked me what I thought about it, and I said I haven't noticed it, and they said really, it's all over Clubhouse, and I said, well, I guess because I don't go in those rooms. When I go into filmmaking rooms, writing rooms, and sometimes I'll go into rooms, like when I wanted to get the podcast up, I went there and asked questions, things that's going to benefit me. Like you say, go to rooms where you're going to get some value. And so
Hmm.
I was like, I don't just go there to chit chat with people and all of that, because one thing I do notice with social media is everybody wants to have a voice. So
Yeah.
you have a room with a billion people, with a billion, it feels like a billion even when it's only 60, 70 people, with a billion opinions. And then sometimes it can get loud and unruly, so I don't even feel like that's just not where I want my headspace, or like you always say, my energy.
Hmm.
So I don't go in those rooms. So they were like, well, yeah, it happens all the time. And they said, well, just tell us how you feel. And I said, well, on the topic, I feel before we begin to try to stop, the gender situation with women bashing men or black men or whatever, I think that we have to first deal with the generation gap. I said because I think some of this stuff trickles down, and I think that the communication as a whole has to be dealt with. Can we start communicating better? So that was my main point. Communicate, learn how to communicate first, and then let's deal with the generation gap. Because if you don't have the respect, I'm the oldest person in the room at the time. So if you don't have the respect of me and somebody like me, anything I say, you're going to refute and you're going to fight me on. So
Mm-hmm.
I was making that point. So they were like, cool, but I don't know what the heck I said. I really can't remember. But something that I said, oh, I said, because, African Americans, oh my God, why did I say that? It went ballistic and it just kept growing like a fungus. They were like, "Why did you? No, don't say African American. You need to get that word out out your vocabulary. We're not African Americans. We ain't never been to Africa. Even our descendants didn't come from Africa. We were here." And I'm like, "What? What just happened?" That conversation. If I went in the room, I promise you, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I was in the audience. When they brought me up, I was on stage for about 5 minutes, and then that's when they asked me about 20 minutes in, it just hit the fan and it never went back. And from about one something in the morning till 4 in the morning, it was just talk about things that I was just like, and it was a lot of talking. It was very little listening. They just proved my point. Everybody had a point and wanted to make a point. The people who
Mm-hmm.
were, in my opinion, the people who were made moderators were those who were of that particular person's mind thought. I won't say what group that they follow, but they were of a group that follows a certain logic or belief. I won't say faith because they don't believe it's a faith. They don't call it a faith. But they made them moderators, and the rest of us were, just there sharing. And it wasn't off the chain like in a horrible bad way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but in the words of Dorian, my co-producer, I felt like I was being held hostage because when they started speaking, it was long and outdrawn, and it wasn't always making a lot of sense, and some of it was supporting the main moderator, who's a cool cat. We were already following each other and stuff. I seen him in the room before, but we just disagreed. And then when people jumped on his bandwagon, I found myself in the hot seat. And then I was like, I tried to answer. I was talking the same way I'm speaking now, although a
Mm-hmm.
part of me on the inside wanted to go ham on one of the girls, because I'm like, I was, oh Lord, I was very shy of calling somebody a chicken head, because it's one.
Yes, please don't call nobody a chicken head, but
I was I was
continue.
I was very shy of calling somebody a chicken head. And the reason why was because when all your proof to refute me is that the brother who's talking is smart, and he's always on point and logical, and I need to listen to and follow him. What are you talking about? And it just I'm sitting there trying to figure out, first of all, where did we go left, where did we, and it was like, you ever have a thing where you say something, and then everything that you say, they're dissecting it, or
Mm-hmm.
they're what's the word I'm looking for? One of the guys from the audience, when he got up and he spoke, well, one guy was real nice. He said to me, he said, "Listen, I just want to jump in and say something." He said, "Because I feel like the queen was being, really nice and how she dealt with it, because y'all was really coming at her and you were saying all of this stuff and not really, hearing her. And she made some good points, but y'all was stuck on, the whole black thing, and it just was going so left." And then after him, somebody else, another guy came up and he was saying, like, everybody has some kind of points, but I can't think of the word he said, but I want to say tedious. Basically when somebody takes one of the words that you say and they start trying to, expand, like, well, you said this and you should have said it like that, because we shouldn't talk like that, because it was like a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And then when you would go to explain it, then they started poking at something else that you said. And I'm noticing that an awful lot, especially when COVID hit. and they were trying to sell us on not just the vaccine, because prior to the vaccine, when it was just talk, they were trying to tell us about the mask and about how it hits, and people talking about, everybody was running around like their hair was on fire, scared to death, because we all thought it was the end of the world. And so, it was that kind of talk where people were trying to sell you on whatever was happening and going on. You remember when all them videos was flying all over the place?
Mm-hmm.
It was that kind of thing. And what they would do is they would take something that somebody said on the news or wherever, and they would just poke and prod at it. And so that's what was happening in the room. And so it got to a point, I said, well, you know what? I could see I'm in the hot seat. I said, so I'm going to cut my mic off and I'm going to let y'all go for it. And they were like, nah, queen, no, I can't be a queen. And y'all picking me apart, everything that I'm saying. And you're not even respecting the fact that, I'm speaking from wisdom, and y'all still smelling yourself trying to figure it out. You're not taking a moment to entertain. And it just proved my point when I first started speaking, when I said, before we can answer the question on why are women on Clubhouse disrespecting Black men, we have to start talking about how we need to better communicate. And I just said that. And here we are. We can't even pass go because everything I say, y'all start dissecting it. Instead of trying to take a second and listen, I say one thing, you agree with what I said, but you had an issue with me saying African American. I could really give a daggone, because guess what? I went from hearing colored when I was young, or Negro, colored, Black, African American. And so now y'all don't want to use African American no more. I really could care less, because it's not going to change who we are, whether we use this word or not. And it was very, whatever it was. And I said to myself, be careful of the rooms that you go in.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, like, social media is something where, because I consider Clubhouse is certainly social media, you have to really be cautious about it, because now, before, it was just a lot of information from a lot of different people all at once, but now they have Clubhouse where they can specialize this type of information, and they can all, like, everybody, we all agree on this one thing, well, let's start a room and talk about what we agree on, and like, dispute anything that goes against that. But I think that there's certainly a generational gap, and I feel like my generation, because I'm not sure what age range the people that were in the room were, but I know, like, my generation,
between yours and mine.
Yeah, I know that my generation, we're very, like, we tried so hard to be different from the last generation. And I mean, a lot of times for good reason, because we feel like certain things didn't work out, that, like you said, we're not able to kind of, like, receive from the other generations, or the wisdom coming from other people, because we're so, I guess, stuck in trying to be separate or be different or do things differently. Like, we exist in a generation of cancel culture. You say one thing out of line, you offend one person, you make one mistake, and you're canceled. Your career is over, you're done. It's a wrap for you. Like, and that's what we exist in, and that's what we perpetuate, all of us. Like, we're not a generation that kind of, like, accepts mistakes. We don't accept apologies. No, because we feel like we've taken so many shorts. We've gotten so many apologies and nothing's been done. So now, you make a mistake, it's over. Like, we're not taking no apologies. We're not forgiving anybody, which is not healthy either. That's not always the best way to go. And you miss out on a lot of different things because you're so ready to be offended by everything. Not to say there isn't a lot to be offended by, because there is. And there has been, but a lot of times we're so focused on, let me hear what I wish they would say something. Let me hear what they got to say, because I know they about to say something crazy, that we missed the entire point. We missed the good that we could have gotten out of it. And honestly, like, I'm in between, because, like I said, I wasn't in the room, so I don't know what conversation went on. I would have liked to hear it so I could make a, like, I guess, accurate judgment, but I'm definitely in an in-between, because I do think that, the breakdown in, relationships between, like, men and women, especially in the Black community, is due to miscommunication. And lumping together. And I've like had these conversations with myself because I be talking to myself, child, because I'm chatty and don't nobody be listening to me. But I definitely
just don't answer.
I be having these conversations with myself. And you know, I really be telling myself like like the way that we move in relation to like the opposite sex and relationships, a lot of times we do a lot of lumping together. We say, oh yeah, all men is the same, all women is the same, they do this, you know, he a man so he do this. And to some extent it is true, but at the same time everybody is individuals. Like there are men who are emotional, there are men who like to cook, there are men who do things differently. Not everything, maybe he was just asleep when he didn't answer your text, girl, maybe he wasn't out cheating. Not every man cheats, you know, not every man is this way. So a lot of times we lump things together rather than actually communicating, finding out who a person
that's
is.
a girl thing though. I don't know that that's
I think that is
a millennial thing. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of things that you said about millennials, I was sitting here listening and I'm thinking to myself, we did that. Yeah, wow, we did that too. Wow, we did. And I find I do that often. And I think it goes to one of those kind of things where my mother used to say it about us, and then I found myself saying it about the generation right after us, and then I found myself saying it about the ones after them, which is y'all, the millennials. And
right.
it's the same thing. It's that, you know, we sometimes are so in the mix of doing it that we think we're the first ones. You know, it reminds
and
me
that's true.
of,
And also we don't have anything to compare it to. Like I'm
yeah,
not a baby boomer, so I can't say what baby boomers
yeah,
do because I'm not a part of it. Like even though I know people who are, I'm not them, so I don't know what they did when they was our age. I don't know, like, you know, what categories they place things in at that level. But like I could definitely see that being a thing. Like we try so hard to be different that we end up being the same. We end up falling into the same cracks of having the same issues between one another because we don't want to listen to anybody who came before us or who's wiser. I mean, who's wiser than us or more experienced than us. We don't.
I think, and that's my point. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's cool that you as a millennial can say that about you and your folk and all of that, but that's not just a millennial thing. That was
Right.
a Generation X thing. I remember seeing movies and hearing talk, you know, from older people about my mother's generation. You know, you're a kid and you be in grown folks' mouth, and you'll hear them say, "See, they don't listen." See, and this, you know,
Yeah.
it's a thing. When you are young, you do, you know, seek to have fun. You do seek to do. You do seek to just be grown. I mean, come on, you just come out of people telling you what to do, and now you get to make your own decisions and your own calls. So I get that. My thing, and I'm glad that you saw it, to them was I started out saying that before we can, in my opinion, address the whole thing as to why women talk negatively about men, is the first thing we have to do is agree on communicating. You know what I mean?
Right.
A
Right.
true communication is someone speaks, someone is actively listening, not just listening, but actively listening, like really paying attention. And
Mm-hmm.
then based on what they heard, they give some form of communication back to the speaker. That is communication.
Right.
If one person is talking and the other person is just waiting for them to finish so they can speak, that's not communication.
Right. And
You
I
know
mean,
what I mean?
I definitely agree. Like I said, like I was saying before, no, I definitely agree on that part. But like I was saying, I was double-minded in a sense because I do 100% think communication is the key. However, I can understand why women talk bad about men because sometimes certain men be terrible, and it's a double-edged sword because
It
like
is.
like I was saying, oftentimes we categorize men, we categorize them, we say that they are these things, we put these things like as truths about them when they're not true about all men. In the same regard and respect, a lot of men are hearing this information, they're receiving the same information from social media and these things as we are, so they digest that information and they start to become that information, whether it be like, oh, they around their friends and all their friends is doing this, so then they start to like do those things, or they start to make excuses or think that those things are okay, like, you know, ghosting girls, or, you know, not being honest, having a whole bunch of girls around. And I know that's something that is not like new to our generation. I'm sure that's been done, time and time again. But at the same time, a lot of times they're perpetuating these ideas of men and what it is to be a man. Oh yeah, no, like, I don't gotta be faithful. I don't gotta, some men are doing that. And so I understand at the same time why they talking about bad about men. There are men who aren't great fathers. There are men who abandon women and jump from woman to woman to woman. And it's more common because we make it a thing. We put it on social media as that's who they are. We talk about it as if that's who they are, and they talk about it as if that's who they are, and they start to become those things. So I was saying, like, I understand both sides. I understand your point. We got to communicate, but I do understand why women talk bad about them, because sometimes men are terrible. Some men are terrible, some of them, but it's not all of them.
Yeah.
And if we do communicate with them, the one that you have, your personal man, talk to him, figure out who he is, figure out why he's being this way. But sometimes it's not an available, I guess, way to solve the problem. Sometimes, we're not able to communicate with these men and figure out what's going on or why they're acting like this. And sometimes it's obvious why they're acting like this, because we still allow it. We still are okay with it. We still are going to sit there and take it. There's so many elements, and I don't think there's one answer to that problem. I don't think there's one solution. So I get both sides, and I feel like people.
I'll tell you one thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'll tell you one thing. What my grandmother used to say all the time. She said, they can't do anything to you if you don't allow it. And she used to always say,
That's true.
a person can't kick you in the butt if you don't bend over. And that's the whole thing. Women, we bend a whole lot. We put ourselves in predicaments. I literally heard, I talked to this one guy. He was going with my friend back in the day. And I said, she really love you, and she wants this. He knew what I was doing. She knew she wanted me to fill it out, make it better. And he told me straight up and down, if I was to get with her, all I would do is dog her out. And I was like, what? Why? And I couldn't believe him. He was like, no, I'm just being honest with you. He said, she doesn't motivate me. He said she doesn't make me want to be a better person. He said, she everything I do, it's like I'm the prince, or I'm a king, or I'm God, and not. He said, and not in a way that's like uplifting and motivating to me, but in a way the way it's like, no, she has a personal problem. And so she is kind of like imposing all of this on me so that I will stay. Like, in other words, he saw straight through her. She probably had low self-esteem. Well, she did.
Yeah.
And
which is very common.
Yeah, and was willing to put up with crap, or anything, or just do anything to be able to keep, and have him. And so when he said it, it taught me something. And I wasn't even going to him for me, but it taught me a lesson about how men. I had always been seeing it because I had a lot of male cousins and stuff, and I always took it in because I felt like, this how they speak. But when I heard him say that, I started realizing that, these we used to think, and we probably still do to a degree, think that a lot of the older men, talk to the younger guys and they tell them, oh, you young, have fun, flirt, whatever. But a lot of times they drop real jewels on them. And some of these men be telling these boys, not only don't get a girl pregnant and don't get a disease, or wear a condom, they don't just tell them that, but they also tell them the kind of woman that you want. You want a woman to be backbone, who's strong. So if anything happens, she can take care of the kids, or if you get sick or whatever, she can hold the fort, or she'll have your back and won't throw you under the bus or anything. Like these men, they may not have a father figure around all the time, or they may, who knows, sometimes we're told we don't have fathers, and everywhere I look I see a black father, so with their son, who knows. But I can tell you that they are telling them what a good woman is. And so
and so I'm sorry to cut you off, but that just like really like
go for it.
A point just hit me. Maybe we shouldn't put as much focus on, okay, the men, talking to the men, figuring out what the men are doing, and put more focus on the women, speaking to the women. Like, that conversation that you're talking about, what type of woman, you want to be to attract a man. And granted, that I have so many uh feminist issues with that particular statement, but I this is how it hit me. So maybe those conversations should be happening among the women, like, telling women, listen, build yourself up. Don't work, rather than telling women, you got to get married, you have to have these kids, you need to, do
Exactly.
this, you got to take care of your man. No, tell her to build herself up. Girl, get your career going. Have something to give. Have something within yourself that you're going to be okay in case this man doesn't work out, in case he walks away, so that you're able to build him up. Because if you feel like you're underneath him, or that, all you have is him, then you're not going to be able to give him anything. You're only going to be taking. So maybe rather than us being like, okay, what can we do for him? How can we talk about him? How can we fix him? Like, fix yourself. And maybe there's not enough, like, women telling other women that. Women telling other women, like older women telling them, like, don't worry about that man. Worry about you. Worry about getting yourself together. And he will come. Once
I
he
would
sees you're
hope.
doing, huh?
I, I would hope that there are, because I know I do, and I do. I tell y'all every time I get an opportunity, I'll drop some kind of jewels, just kind of letting y'all know, because that's what happened to me. I was always
Mm-hmm.
up at grown folks' face, and then when I got to a certain age, I ain't have to be. They would just drop jewels and just tell me. I'd be One time when I was living in the projects in East Orange, in Little City. I was coming from the store. I was coming from my friend Sheena's house. She went home. I cut through the building. I'm on my way, minding my business, eating my little candy. That's when candy was penny candy. And one of the neighbors just pulled me over and was like, started talking. You know what I'm saying? And then Sheena came
Mm-hmm.
downstairs and we sat, and she just dropping jewels on us. Always do this, never let a man do that. Always let him see you with this and that. And we was just taking it in. And guess what? Before she passed, she was married with kids in an apartment, a working husband doing the right, because people drop jewels and we listen. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. A lot of times it's you may have the people that's willing to talk to you, but people don't want to listen. It goes back to what I said earlier. You know, when you were young, you had so many people telling you what to do, the teachers, the parents, the aunts, the uncles, everybody. Instead of them appreciating that, they begin to feel some kind of way about it. Like, oh, I'll be glad when I'm grown. I ain't got to listen to nobody. I can do what I want to do. But then you go out there and you run smack dead into a brick wall, and who catch you? All the people that was trying to talk to you, the family. They saw you running. Because now listen, when you first start off, they try to talk to you. But when you get that momentum with trying to run away from them and picking up speed, they're not going to kill themselves trying to chase you, because they've been there. They already know you're not going to listen. So they let you go. And then when you run smack dead into that brick wall and pass out, falling backwards, they just catch you. And when you come to, they talk some sense into you, and they tell you, and they hope you listen, because some people got to run smack dead into that wall a couple of times. I don't know too many girls that are like that, but unless they just a little off. But usually after once or twice, especially that second time, they down to listen, because they don't know what the third time is going to be like. But
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, go ahead.
my point is just that they have to be willing to listen. You do not, and I tell my daughter this all the time, you do not have to learn things the hard way. Everything that you see that I have done, accomplished, how I talk, how I act, how people give me kudos. Oh yeah, I like talking to Sister Andrea. Whatever. When you see that, that is not because I went through it all. I learned from other people going through stuff. I don't have to learn from, doing these things myself. I'm smart enough to look and say, not me. I don't want that for myself. You know what I mean? I don't want that kind of
Yeah.
man. Like for example, I was telling somebody the other day about a friend. Actually, I had a couple of friends that told me that the man that they was with, they had a couple of months in, so they felt like they knew him. Oh, I know him. We vibe in that pillow talk. And then they did one little thing wrong, and that man said, "You don't want to see me when I get angry." And I'm like, "Yo, that's a sign. What are you talking about?" They like, "No, I know him." And it's like, oh my God. It's like when the signs are there, and then you go to talk to people, and they giving you them jewels, at least consider. It's the least you can do. Because what happens when you don't listen? You end
But
up
at the
at the police
but at the
station
same
with a black eye.
time, because I feel like that is everybody. Like, that's not even like, tied to a generation. And like I said,
No,
yes, a
it's
lot of
not
times
tied to a
we
gender either, but I'm just going off of what you said when you said maybe the conversation has to be the women. And I'm saying,
right.
yeah, they just have to listen, and they have to want to listen so that they can benefit from it.
Yeah, but and I'm not disagreeing that they have to want to listen, but at the same time, people take the idea of listening as, okay, I'm gonna do exactly what you said. I can listen to you, I can understand what you have to say to me, and I can still choose to go my own route. And that's people in general. I feel like, even though, especially, I feel like young people are, a lot, I guess, less um I don't know the word, but like they're less likely to, like, want to necessarily follow everything you say, because it's like, we want to live our own life, we want to experience things. But
We
at the
all
same
been there.
time, just because somebody doesn't do exactly, like, sometimes people want to find out for themselves, and sometimes the result might be different, and
And
sometimes it
that's
might be
cool
the same.
sometimes. And I've listened. I've learned to accept that people don't have to do everything you say just because you're older, wiser. Some people need to see for themselves, because guess what? Sometimes me, obedient Jack, I will listen to people and I missed out on a lot because I
Right.
was that type.
Right.
And I believed
Yeah.
what they said. I thought they did the homework. I thought they were a person of knowledge or
Right.
wisdom, and I thought what they were telling me was the real deal. And then I look back and I found out that it might have been like that once upon a time, but things changed. It was all kind of reasons why it wasn't like that. So I'll be the
Mm-hmm.
first person to say, but at the same time, you do have to pick your battles. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You can't just have that kind of thing where nobody can talk to you. People, you don't ever want to listen when people try to tell you stuff. I just want to learn on my own. Listen, when I said that in my late teens. The people that I taught when I was last teaching in the early 2000s, they were saying that in their teens, those who they got out into the world later in life, like in their 20s, they were the ones that hit the brick wall harder, because they came out later, and when they did, they came with such speed when they finally made up their mind that they wanted to just live life and go mess up in the world. That terrible brain fart that most of us have when we come out on into our own. Because they came into it later, they ran faster and harder because they were trying to make up for lost time, or they thought they were
Mm-hmm.
missing out on something, and they got hurt. So like you said, there's all kind of people from all kind of walks of life, all kind of whatever, but the thing that remains the same is some things, it just takes a mind of wisdom. You don't even have to be older and wiser to have certain levels of wisdom.
Right.
You just
Right.
know
I
when
agree.
something, if somebody comes to you and tells you, if I come and say, Peyton, I don't know about him, I saw him punch a hole through the wall, girl, and you might want to rethink that. Then you need to really, first of all, the fact that you saw him punch a hole in the wall should be triggering you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Why is he getting that angry? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about, what's happening here. And then when somebody comes and tell you what happens when you're young, and like you said, it has nothing to do with gender, um,
Mm-hmm.
or race or whatever, but when you're young, a lot of times you are adventurous, and you're
Yeah.
willing to take a chance. For some reason, the whole I have my whole life ahead of you, or ahead of me, makes people feel like they can be daring. But when you see certain signs, and I flip the script so that this way the men don't feel like we picking on them, but it's like with a young man in his late teens or his early 20s, when you see a female and she's all up in a dude's face, or y'all are just talking and it's y'all in your prime and you're trying to figure things out, and you see she's dressed in a certain way and she's in guy's face, and coming around you, if that's not your thing.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
No,
whoa,
listen,
whoa,
listen,
whoa.
listen.
Listen.
No, listen. If that's not your thing, because everybody has a type, if that's not your thing, then you have to use some wisdom. Why are you going to keep on trying to go? If you see, if she's showing you who she is, and she ain't venture, because some people phony. When you first get started, they put on a facade, and then they figure when they get you, then they can be themselves. But if she's showing you who she is, whether she's showing you and she's putting on a facade, or whether she's showing you the real deal, you're not about that life. Why don't you curb left? Why don't you curb right? It's no different
Well,
than
I
the dude
think
that
I
punched
think
a hole in the wall. If you ain't look now, if you like thugging it out with your man and your jaw made of brick, you know what I'm saying, and you want to take a chance, and I'm exaggerating, just to make a point, but I'm just trying to show on both sides where
yeah.
you have to stop and use some wisdom. You look, run, be young, live, have fun. I get it, but you have to stop and use some wisdom and start thinking. Don't say I want to be young, wild, and have fun, but then you're doing things that like you want to settle down, and then you get mad because this person is about that wild life, and then your feelings hurt and you're trying to figure it out. But then you had an older person that was trying to school you, but you ain't want to listen. You wanted to learn on your own. Like, you got to use some wisdom somewhere. If you ain't
Yeah.
gonna use your brain, listen to somebody else who been there, done that.
Yeah, and I want to make this clear. We're not going to shame anybody. Like, just because a woman dresses a certain way and
You know
be
what?
around men
You
does
doing
not
what they
mean that
did in their
she's a
room last
specific type
night.
of person.
Taking one little thing
However,
instead of the point. You taking
but that was just a I guess like a in the moment example. No, like, because that doesn't mean that just because she's around people, but
listen
you
to the
after a
whole of
few
what I
months.
said. If he is not about that life, she could have been dressed like a Mormon, all covered up to where you couldn't even see her eyeballs. So I didn't say dressing skimpy. If I did, I retract that. You might want somebody that dressed and show some thigh, and she might dress like a Mormon, and you may not be about that life. Like, come on, girl, can you breathe? So it don't matter. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I mean
that's
about communication. We have to listen to the whole of it and the point, and not because we have these little things that bother us. And when somebody, like, crosses that, or
and
they
I
touch
agree, because
on
we
that,
don't want to miss the
then
message, and that's exactly why I'm coming back and being like, that's not what anybody's saying. Like, I get where you're coming from. Like, there are certain signs in any relationship related to any person that
yeah.
you'll start to see, and if you're not into that, then you
Oh,
need to listen
just
to
that. Yep.
you need to listen to some type of wisdom and know to step away, because that in the long term is not going to be the best for you. Like, regardless of like anything we use to describe that particular person, it's the message, and a lot of time messages get missed. I 100% agree with you on that
Yeah.
standpoint, and I knew what you meant. I know
You
what you
just
meant.
want to say,
I'm here with you.
I
We
feel
here. We
you.
here.
That's a,
But
that's a
at the
topic for another
but
time. That
that's
whole dressing
okay.
thing. We ain't gonna go there.
We not gonna go there. We not gonna go there. Okay, but and I think that even ties into my point that I was saying, as far as like the communication between women, a younger and an older, because I know from my experience, a lot of times, like, we are taught what to like how to be for a man, like, or how we should be for ourselves for a man. But a lot of times people don't teach us like what to look for specifically in a man. Okay, like, what to these things, like you said, okay, he punching walls. That's something that you want to tell me when I'm in the situation. I'm already in love with him and he punching walls. You ain't tell me before that if I meet a man and he's aggressive, and these are things that these are signs that I should look for. And we don't get that beforehand training. As men, I feel like other men do come to them. Yeah, sometimes, not all the time. Like, I feel like as men, a lot of times older men will let them know, listen, if she ain't doing this, or you looking for a woman who doing this, if she ain't good with her mom, or she ain't taking care of this, she not gonna be a good wife. Like, they get that type of advice. I feel like women, we don't necessarily always get that advice from other older women. Like, this is who you should look for. Is he a provider? How does he treat his mother? If he treats his mom bad, then he might not be the best. Like, these things to look out for, because we're picking just as much as they're picking. And a lot of times, I know as a young woman myself, I don't feel like I'm always like picking. Like, I see somebody who's attractive and I'm like, ooh, let me, I gotta be right for him. Like, yes, I'm seeing if he got money, but outside of that, no, I'm playing, I'm not like that. But outside of being like, okay, well, do he got a job? Do he got money? Like, there's more to look for somebody to be a good husband and provider than just that. And
All right, so
sometimes that's not instilled in us.
I need all the baby boomers, and I need all the Generation X, and I need all of the lost generation that came right after Gen X, right before the millennials. I need all of the women to start speaking to the young girls, because they're
Yes.
and we're not talking enough. So don't be telling me, look, I gotta go. I got a phone call, Peyton. When I call you, when I'm dropping them jewels.
But
no,
I'm saying, like, it's just it's the way in which the talk happens. Like, a lot of time it's focused on what the woman should be doing. Like, if you're gonna be with him, you need to start cooking and cleaning. You need to start. But where's that what we need to look for in a man. If he's doing it, we need to make sure that he's doing this, doing that. Like a lot of times that doesn't happen. When the talks happen, that's what I was kind of saying. It's centered around us.
So I'm curious now, Alex, has your mom, your auntie, your grandma, has anybody ever talked to you to tell you what to look for in a man and like what to
No.
Oh,
and I don't think even my mom's mom had that conversation with her. I mean, my mom was actually the very first in her family to marry out of the faith, out of the Jewish faith. She married a Catholic, and her parents were okay with it, but her grandmother was not okay with it. Her mother's mother was not okay with it, which was weird because they weren't even good Jews anyway.
I have no comment.
I'm not good Jews.
Let it be clear that Alex said that.
But then once my great grandma got to know my dad,
right,
she was like more accepting, but at first she was not happy about it.
Right.
And my dad's parents, my dad was actually, he was the first in his family to marry out of the faith too. But my grandpa, his father, was like secretly Jewish because he was from Texas, and his father
you told me.
was Jewish. They had to hide it, being in Texas. And then he met my grandma. She was Irish Catholic, and he was like, yeah, no, can't tell her. Secretly Jewish, so he was okay with my mom, but my grandma was not okay with it at first. It was only because she thought that her son was going to break my mom's heart. It didn't have anything to do with her being Jewish.
Right.
But the only people in his family who had a real problem with it were my aunt and uncle. My dad was the youngest of 4 boys, and his oldest brother and his wife did not like it at all.
So are you saying that they don't so you're saying that, are you saying that that's the reason why, maybe because she didn't communicate with her about like men, what to look for, what not to, what to be careful of or whatever?
Why she married a Catholic instead of a Jew?
That's what I'm saying. Are you saying that's why that happened, because she didn't talk to her?
Why, what happened? Like, why my grandma didn't talk to my mom about what to look for in a man?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that my mom's parents got divorced when my mom was 19, and at that time my grandpa had remarried to a horrible woman and had another daughter with her, and the woman was kind of like manipulating my grandpa into basically like ignoring his own family, basically. And so he was kind of not around a lot. And then my grandma was just very, very, she still is very, very bitter about the whole thing.
So she had her own problems to deal with. She wasn't focused on like,
she never remarried like that. No, she never remarried, but she did have a bunch of boyfriends in her life. And at that time, I think she may have been with the first one still. But I'm not 100% positive. And unfortunately, none of the men she was with kind of worked out. Like the 3, she was with 3, and then there was one she was with, the 4th one, they were together for 18 years. And he was actually the best of the men she was with, because apparently I was told the other 3 weren't quite so nice behind closed doors, if you know what I mean.
So that's a good point too. Like maybe the reason that the conversation doesn't happen is because a lot of women, even like older generation women, feel like maybe they don't really know what to tell somebody to look for, because what they thought, was the right thing to look for in a man might not have worked out or turned out the way they wanted it. Like they might not have still been married. They might have had to move around and try to find somebody else, and maybe they never really got tied down to anybody or remarried. So how can they tell somebody what's a good thing to look for as a husband if they couldn't last with one?
I agree with that, because
that makes sense.
Because I tell you, I've had times when I was in my 20s when I said, okay, so that was wrong. And I'm thinking that what it basically is about a man is this. And then I got to my end of my 20s and I said, okay, so that was wrong. I had that wrong, but this relationship seems good, so this must be it. And then I got that wrong, and so by my early 30s, I was like, things started looking a little beautiful, and I was like, okay, so this is what it is. All you have to do is this and that's what it is. And then that did, so I was like, ugh. So it was like always growing and learning, and I think maybe you just get to a point to where you say, I don't know what works. Like what to
so how can I give advice?
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is. But I ain't gonna lie to you, child. The people that I grew up around, as much stuff as they was going through, because that's one of the people that told me something. She gave me some advice one time. I think she was just getting her butt kicked the day before. Not laughing at her, but I'm just saying she was just getting her butt kicked, but she still turned right back around and was like, always, do this and never, let a man do that, and or just still dropping the jewels because of the bad experience. But people are different. And so they react to things different, and they deal different. So
I mean, both my sister and I we weren't exactly sat down and told what to look for, but we were both told, find someone who treats you right.
Yeah.
That was probably like the one key thing both our parents want for us. And thankfully my sister was able to find someone, her boyfriend treats her like she's the best thing ever, which is great. She's kind of like, don't put me up on a pedestal.
And I feel like I was also told something similar. Like I said, it was never a conversation or, the things to look for, but I always heard, marry somebody who love you more than you love them. And I was just like, okay. I think that's a way of saying the same thing.
Yeah, I was told that too. But let me just say something, because a lot of times men get really upset. I walked into a barbershop selling my book, and when the dude read the back and it said that the grandmother told the granddaughter, always love a man who loves you more than you love them, girl, he bought my book, and then he did some kind of signal to everybody in the bookstore. Not one of them bought my book, and every one of them was pulling out their wallet when I first walked in, wanted to support me. And when they read that, and I was saying no, I said she gets hers in the end. She realizes they ain't care because they ain't want to find out. They did not, and I don't even think it was about the $10. I think it was just about, just in case you want some old bull crap. So
but I mean, it's a weird way of saying it, but I honestly think it translates to the same thing that Alex was saying. Like, get somebody that treats you right. Like, get somebody who like treats you like
a guarantee. That's the guarantee, and that's the whole thing about it. Is when you get somebody that loves you more than you love them. The problem I think that people miss about that is what women's experience is, and I'm speaking generally, but of course I can't speak for everyone. But women's experience is that when you love a man unconditionally, you will put up with a bunch of crap, and they don't seem to appreciate you. And I'm saying it as nicely as I can. They do not seem to appreciate it. So I think that's the reason why a woman would tell her daughter, granddaughter, niece, or whoever, always get a man who loves you more, because he will appreciate the fact that you love him and that you go above and beyond and that you're trying to be backbone, because like they say, behind every good man is a good woman. And we're trained to try to be like that, but then we don't always get the ones that appreciate it. But if you get someone who loves you more, you know that they're going to appreciate it. Now, granted, somebody could argue, well, why can't they just get a man who loves them? I think it still is the message. The message is the message that's there is that if he loves you more, right? It's maybe not just him. Maybe it's a lesson for the both of them, right? If he loves you more than you love him, you know that he's going to do right by you, and then maybe you won't mind bending and doing, I don't know, but I just know that that's
I mean, honestly, like I understand where you're coming from, and I think that you're correct in like what you said, like if you love a man more, because like when I've heard it, it's usually been from people who like were in relationships where they love their man or what have you, and a lot of times their man abused that and took advantage of their love for them, because they know like they're gonna be there, they love me, so they're gonna stick around like while I do whatever I do, type of thing. So if you get somebody who loves you more, that will put up with what you have going on, then it's better, because I guess women are less likely to do as much dirt as men. I don't know. Like, I don't think that's true at all. But
it
I don't think that's
depends.
true at
It
all. But
depends.
I get the message of it. And I think that there's a better way to say it, but that's the best way to say it. Like,
It's the old
there's
saying. It's the old
the
wise
old
tale.
saying. Yes.
It is
It's
what it is.
literally an old saying that's been used for so long that it's just like, that's just what you pass on. That's just what you say, but it's not necessarily literal, but it's also like kind of literal.
Well, it's
But
not. It's not meant for somebody to take advantage like the girl in my book. It's not meant to play
right.
nobody out. It's just meant
Right.
to assure that they're not going to do you dirty because they really do love you and they
Right.
appreciate you. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
the reverse to that. What I told my son, I did tell my daughter, get a man that loves you more. But
Yep.
what I told my son is, you make sure that the person that you invest in is the person that deserves you, because I know my son's a good man. I raised him to be a good man. I stopped spoiling him when he was young. I flipped the script on him, and because he was spoiled, and I didn't want to give no woman no spoiled man like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I changed things up on how I was doing things just to make him the good man. So I told him, you watch, you sit back and you look and see who's who and what's what, and don't pretend. Don't if they're the type of person that fall easy, but they be out there smutting, don't indulge. Because for a woman, if they know you a good man, no matter how much smutting they do out in that street, when you come with them, they expect you to give them that good, wholesome that you are, and they ain't gonna care like, yeah, but why would I get with you when you're out to sleeping with, all these different guys. They're not gonna care about that. They're gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna notice you're a good man, and they stop doing whatever for a week or however the heck long it was, and they're gonna want you to come into their fold. But you got to be careful and smart enough to know what kind of woman that you want, and that's the one that you go for every time. Don't slip. Don't. Yeah, but I feel like I want to trick out tonight, and not don't. That's how so many people I know ended up with a baby mama because they just that one little fling that I'm gonna go to so and so house. It remind me of Snooker when he went down the street with the girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He just was going down there real quick to go, mess with somebody or whatever, and come back up the street burning. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they do that, but it's just not worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pick pick
Yeah.
pick your type, and then be patient and look for that type. Look for that person that you want. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what men tell girls? You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. That's another old wise tale.
Well,
And
that's old because they be
it
turning. Listen, not to say any woman is that, but like
is.
they listen. It don't matter no more. I'm just saying. It doesn't matter.
They do. They turning them into, yeah. Wow.
Not to say that they're hoes or anything. Like women are
Nice it up. Go
human
ahead. Say
beings
they're
too, and
they're
they
promiscuous.
experience, and yeah, they have the right to experience what they want to experience, just the same way men do. They learn by exploring, and that's what it is. But like I said, that doesn't necessarily stand true anymore. But I think like all of that is like such good advice, and like why can't that advice be given to women too? Like, know what type of man you want and go for that type every time. Like
Every time. If
just
you don't
because this
get it,
like
but that falls into what you said earlier. When you look, you said, "Oh, he's cute. He's this and that," and that's the thing. Listen,
yeah, we go by
young.
looks
I was young.
sometimes.
Trust me, I went through my whole I like light skin men thing when I was in my teens. I don't even know where that came from, but it was a thing when I was in my teens. And somewhere between when I turned 18, I started like not looking at color no more. I started like wondering, why was that like a thing? And then I don't know what happened, but I think around 18, 19, I was just looking for whoever was a good person. Matter of fact, for whatever reason, almost every dude that came in my face was light skinned. And I got to a point I was like, because now I'm conscious, now I'm like, I'm not color struck or whatever. Now I'm just looking for a good man or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
we go through these, little things. But what we need to be going for is like what you said. We need to not be looking at cute. We need not be looking at light skin. We need to be looking at what is my type? What do I want in a man? And in this,
Right.
when we see the dude, we've been observing or whatever, and we say, okay, that's the type. That's who I like. That's, and if he's good for you, cool, go for it. If it work out, cool. If not, then okay. But at least I know what my type is and what I want in a man. And then you go a different direction. If you see a sign and a dude is doing something, like I never thought that I would ever be in a relationship where things would get, out of hand, off the chain.
Right.
And when I experienced it, it broke my heart because I lived in the projects. I seen friends' mothers, and I seen, even in my household where something might have went awry. And I never wanted that for myself. And I always said, like, because, you see that sometimes and you shake your head like, nope, not in my life, not when I get older. And when I had my first, what do you call it? When other people see it. I'm at a loss for words. Public. When I
Okay.
had my first public situation with a man, when I tell you how embarrassed I was, I got flashbacks like it was a movie. And I was like, oh my God. I said I didn't want this in my life. I didn't but at the same time, you be so caught up in whatever you're going through, you don't step back and say, yo, I need to straighten this out right now. You know what I mean? I need to fix this. And I was always too caring and giving anyway. Sometimes I cared more about other people than I did about myself because I could have packed it up and I could have left. But you know what would cross my mind? Or what about him? Or what about, how's he going to feel? And it was that bull crap. And it's not what you do, it's sometimes how you do it. You don't have to pack up and jet on a person and say, flip on the bird and then say F you or whatever. You could just simply say, like I hear dudes saying, I think we're better friends. You know what I mean? I think we're better, it's better to be like that than to be in the relationship. But in any case, getting back to the point, if it's not good for you, you need to duck it. You need to leave it. You need to know, and then go for the one that is your type. That is the one that what you've already figured out is the one. But okay, so here's the question: what about if? And then we're gonna go to the entertainment and close out. But what about if you don't know what you want in a man?
And that's the thing. That's another thing. Like, you know, you have to know who you are to know who you want. And in order to do that, you got to do some introspection. Like, you have to look into yourself. Like, who am I? And what do I want for my future? Like, so I'm in therapy. Listen, and I'm proud of it. I love my therapist. She's great. And we've had, okay, listen, therapy is a necessity, especially in this time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that everybody could use a little therapy, and, but neither here nor
people right now. They should be the most wealthy.
Okay, because people need it. Everybody need a little something. But we would have these conversations, and she would always tell me, like, she would give me like assignments, because they give you assignments after you meet with them on how to figure things out. Like, and she would have me like make lists, like what do you see in a perfect partner? What are qualities that you feel like you need in a perfect partner? Write that down. And then after you do that, she would have me do another list where she was like, picture you in the future, like write down all the things that you want in your future, like career goals, such and such, such and such, and then write down what kind of man you would need in order for those things to be a reality for you. Like, what kind of husband would be able to attach himself to the things that you want in your future, which that one was a big one. And then, okay. And then she said, okay, now write, like, imagine like you having kids. If you want kids in your future, what kind of relationship would you want your kids to see? What type of husband would you want to have for your kids? Like, what type of things do you need for the children that you hope to have in the future? And it works if you have somebody too, if you're in a relationship. Is your relationship something that you would want your future kids to see, to be a part of, to live in? Is your current relationship something that you would feel comfortable with them being a part of? And thinking about those things I feel like is a big way to find those necessities as far as a partner. Like who I'm going to be in the future, do they fit? Do they fit into what I want? Like, I want to be a cook. I want to be an actress. I want to be a writer. This requires this. What kind of husband would I need to be able to live out that dream? I know for me, I'm an actress. I need a husband who's going to be understanding, who's going to be, because there are sometimes where I'm going to have to do like scenes. I'm going to have late nights out. I might have to have like, travel and things like that. Hopefully, glory be to God. Come on, I'm trying to get the big roles. But, with that, I'm going to need a husband who is understanding of those type of things, who's able to deal with like us having distance sometimes, who has their own thing going on as well. Like, so you get to pick out those points of what I want in a future spouse. So yeah, I think that's how you do it.
I agree. Yeah. And I'm actually gonna take that advice and start I'll be texting you for that information. And
oh, absolutely. Listen, it's not me as my therapist. She is a bomb, okay? But
yeah,
yes.
Give me her number.
Okay, listen, but
is she black?
But yes, she absolutely is. She is black, and she is from, I mean, let me say, I think she's from Newark. I'm not gonna hold you, but I might be wrong in that. But I know her office is in Newark. So, but I think, and that those are the conversations. And like we talked about earlier, a lot of older women might not know how to have those conversations. They might not even know how to do those things. But as we start sharing this information, now younger women are able to build up and I guess something to refer to when they are dating and when they are looking for somebody to build a future with. Because at the end of the day, yes, a lot of times women end up in messed up relationships, but that's because we didn't start looking for anything. We just was like, dang, he cute. He kind of fine. Let me talk to him. Like, let me see what he doing, what he's about. But
gotta get behind those looks, man. I was with a couple of dudes who were lookers. One of them who couldn't stay out the mirror, used to piss me off. That's another conversation. But I was with I had a few guys that were cute. Or you go by that cute, and then you get older, you go by that fine, But the thing is what happens when you get past that, though? You know what I mean?
Right. What is there? Is there anything?
Listen, there's a lot that goes with a man that looks good. And I learned very early just from observing when they're the ones that get the girls that go bananas, more temptations. Because some people will say, well, what do you care? What It's just more temptation for him to fight through. There's a whole lot. So I'm not saying that you go look for somebody that you're not attracted to or anything like that.
Absolutely not. Find you a good looking man, okay? Don't be ashamed, girl. Get you a cutie.
You know what? Find somebody you're attracted to, because sometimes,
right, yes.
Listen, for me, what's cute and what's fine and what looks good and on at first glance is usually something that's commercial. Somebody that you would see in as a model, or whether he's sporting a tracksuit or Nike sneakers, or whatever. When I say a model, I really mean a model, someone has a commercial look. They probably got the little pointy nose or something, or the small frank nose with a little point. They probably are either light skin, or they got like a light caramel complexion. Like, these are the things that are commercial. Once in a while, you'll see them have a token dark skin or brown skin person or whatever, for whatever that little thing is that they do, in modeling, where they have just one male, one female, or whatever. But for me, that is what the average person thinks looks good. What looks good to me as a person, or what I'm attracted to, and I'm not going to get boring and say something like their personality, if they got good conversation, because don't get me wrong.
If you are attracted, some people are attracted to personalities. That's a real thing. There's nothing wrong.
I get it. But what I'm saying is, at first glance, when a person looks different, that always gets me. I don't care about the commercialism, and I hope nobody took what I said wrong. All I'm saying is there's a commercial look that I believe that most of us go crazy over. That doesn't do anything for me. When I was a teenager, coming up, yeah, it did, because that's what they put in the magazines. But as a grown woman who knows what is not just appealing, but what really does it for a woman in every aspect, I know the commercialism is just what it is. It's good for a magazine and nothing more. After that is what they make of themselves. But if I'm walking down the street and I happen to see a person and I lock eyes or I look at them and they have a certain something about them, that will get me each and every time. Forget the
Yeah.
commercial look, forget the complexion. Because don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I'm more attracted to dark skinned men. Honestly,
Me
it's been like that
too.
for a very long time. That's not the ones that chase me. I promise you, I have four dudes that I'm saying for the first time in public, or out loud. Y'all know already, but I have about four dudes that I'm cool with, and I don't pass go with them. I leave it at the just cool phase, and
Hmm.
I think two of them are dark skinned. The other two are light, and I don't understand it. The ones that hawk me the most are the light skinned ones. Now, when I was a teenager and I was chasing them, then it wasn't like that because they had the pick of the litter. But now they try to have that running joke. Dark skinned dudes are in now. No, dark skinned dudes always been in. It's just
Hmm.
when you a kid, you see, like I said, you only see what they put before you in the magazines and
Right.
you know what I mean? But in
Yeah.
any case, yeah, I say look for what you're attracted to because, and I always tell people, what can you wake up? Get with the person that you can wake up to every morning.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
I also saw this thing like, and I think it was more about like men, but I saw this post on Instagram, and I really try to shy away from picking up tips from social media because honestly there's so much out there, and sometimes it's not accurate, sometimes it's not helpful, sometimes it doesn't really add any value to what you're doing, it just confuses you. But um I saw this, and it was like really a big thing for me. Like it was like, men, if you look at her and you don't feel anything, like let her go. That's somebody else soulmate, and you playing like,
Yeah, yeah, you're
that's
playing with her. Yeah,
you
yeah.
playing with her.
I
Yeah.
felt
And
something like that.
yes, I like that. And I was just like, no, but really, like when you really care about somebody, even like more than attraction, like, because you could be attracted to anybody, but when you look at somebody and you really feel something when you look at them, it's it means that there's something there. Other than that, all that other stuff fades. Like looking at somebody who has a cute face, because oftentimes the ones with the cute faces that are like really like, ooh, like he looked like he could be on Vogue. Or, I don't
Yeah,
know
very
what people
see
be on. I
commercial,
don't read nothing.
very
But I don't
commercial.
read the magazines. But he looked like, ooh, he could be on this, or he looked like a celebrity. Oftentimes that's not the real attraction. Like that's not something that's going to last you. So I would say the same for women. Like find somebody who, like you said, you can wake up next to and still feel something. Like you
Yeah.
see them like in the morning, they breath be kicking, like their hair is
Oh
looking
my
a mess. Like, but you still like,
God.
that's my bae. Like, like you still feel that little warm, fuzzy feeling. Like,
That dragon
that's probably find somebody like that. It don't matter if the world think he's fine. It don't matter if,
breath.
other girls is looking at him like, dang, I wish my man looked like that. That don't matter. That's superficial. Find somebody that really does it for you.
Yeah.
And whatever that means, like really does it for you. Like that's what you're gonna need to withstand the test of time. Like,
Yeah, and to also
um,
be appreciative too, because you get some women who've been through so much that they just want somebody who's going to treat them right, and there's no
yeah.
attraction at all. And I would advise, and I know a few people like that. I would advise anybody that if you're at that point in your life where you just want a good man or you just want a good woman, and don't just go, still just don't go get anybody. And I'm not saying that in any negative kind of way, but just don't go get, oh, this person's a good person. I know they'll be good to me. There has to be some form of attraction, because that's a whole other set of problems if there's no attractive attraction. When you find a person that you're attracted to, and maybe other people are not attracted to them, it don't even matter.
It don't
They can say
matter.
what they want to say because it rocks your boat, it floats your boat. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Okay.
yeah, so I would tell anybody, make sure that there's some attraction there, whether it's like you said, people being attracted to people's conversation, the way that they think, the fact that they're smart, whatever it is, I don't care. Maybe the way that, she or he cooks just drives you insane. Whatever it is that makes you feel good about them, if it's enough for you to live with, that's the person that you go for.
Yes, girl. Listen,
Stuff
you
is
don't have to
not
explain
good.
nothing to nobody. Don't go through that Instagram and be like, let me find a good picture of him. No, show that first
Oh
picture
my
that he just
God.
posted. Okay, he's cute. If he's cute to you, he's cute. Okay, tell
I
them
looked
mind
at
their business.
somebody, I'm not saying no names, but I looked through somebody's Instagram page, right? And me and them are real cool. It's a guy. And
Hmm.
I went through his Instagram. He has so many different looks. I was like, how could you ever tell anybody what he looked like? Because there were so many looks. It changed based on what he wore, whether he wore a hat or not, whether the sun was hitting him a certain way or a certain angle, or he was put. It was so many different looks. I would not even drive myself nuts trying to find the
A
best
good.
picture.
Listen, that's me. That's my Instagram. I got so many different looks, but all of them look
But
good.
you
Okay, no
modeling
play.
and all that. You always flipping the script, changing your hair color and all that stuff. But this dude, he
Listen,
just was chilling. You know what I'm saying? But he just
right.
so anyway, we're gonna have some more things to talk about. I think one of them times we come back, we need to talk about the faces, the what do you call them? Selfies on
Yes,
oh
selfies.
my God. What is that about?
And the
So
filters, child, because I'm gonna tell you, I just fell in love with filters. Like, there's this one filter
oh my
that be changing. It changes your eye shape. It changes your eye color.
I
It
can't,
changes your nose construction. I be up here
yeah, you
like,
could be who
wow,
you
am I
wanna be.
Tyra? Is this Tyra Banks I see
Oh
looking
my
back at me?
God.
But I use it, okay, because I am cute. I don't have to put on no makeup. Like, I be looking like I just stepped out of the runway, okay? Stepped off the runway. But no, like, I think this was like such a good topic. Like, talking about love, and I mean, I hope men don't feel left out because
We tried to balance it the best we can. Look, I don't have a
we
big.
ain't tried. We ain't
We, we
We
tried a
didn't
little
try
bit.
enough.
I mean, it's only, but we have to have a man on because it's only but so much that we could really do. Like I tried my best. I mean, I might seem like I have a little bit of testosterone, because I'm a little on the
Get
assertive
out.
side. That's
Get out.
I told you my son told me, he said, you got pride like a man. I'm like, what? Oh my God. And my ex, his father used to always tell me, he was like, I forgot what he used to say. Now it's probably failing me on purpose right now. My little self-preservation kicking in. But yeah, he used to say something, he used to say something similar, like, so I have my little, ways or whatever. I'm from where I'm from. When you live in the city and you grew up in the projects, there's a little bit of what do you call it, self-preservation or something, or
Mm,
um where you just have to always be on point. You got to watch and protect yourself. You get a lot of that going on, and it ends up, you carry it with you. Like,
mm-hmm.
for example, where I live, when I first moved down here, people were like, oh, and you can leave your windows up and all of that. People not going to break, and they don't do that around here. I'm saying to myself, what, who you think you talking to?
I wouldn't even do that here.
I'm like, what? No, I refuse. Because what I don't think people realize is criminals travel. What do you think? They just stay in the city and in the hood? What
Right.
are you thinking?
Right.
There's not much in the hood. You gotta go out, So no, I'm never doing that. So yeah,
Right.
so I think that just kind of that's just a reflection of how I keep my guard up and how I come across. But I'm learning to be a little different. But I'm saying all that to say that that's the most of my testosterone. I can't jump into men's experience and all of that. So we probably need to get us a male guest to come on board and kind of shed some light. So
Yeah.
let's get to the entertainment portion. Um, so I took that silence that you just heard on purpose so I could splice it and cut it. And I'm gonna take another one after I say this. So we're what we just did was probably gonna be at least two shows.
That's what I'm saying. That was kind of long. Like, you could have
That's
entertainment
gonna be
too.
yeah, that's probably gonna be at least two shows, maybe three. But let's get in this piece of entertainment, and then we'll pick another date where we'll come in and grab some more entertainment. So now I'm gonna put us back on the show. So I'll splice it about right here. So what we have for entertainment today?
Um,
Well,
wait, what's that
first,
mean, Peyton?
I mean, I guess it don't matter.
Oh, I forgot what you had, so I thought it was me.
Oh yeah. So Yeah, so I wanted to talk about these Yeezys, these new Yeezys that came out in March 6th, I think it was.
You have the floor, because I am not about that life.
Well, apparently they dropped at 7 a.m. on March 6th and they sold out at 7:01 a.m.
What?
Okay, 1 minute sold out. Okay, and these shoes was like $200 a pop. Is that not crazy?
That is super crazy. I've heard other podcasters talk about Yeezy. Somebody said something smart about Kanye on I don't want to try to name no podcast, but I listen to hip hop podcasts and stuff, so you could probably guess it. But I remember somebody said something about Kanye and they was like, "Oh, don't get smart. You know you're gonna wear them Yeezys when they came out." They said, "Yeah, they don't have nothing to do with them." And I'm saying to myself, well, I gotta look these up again and see what they look like, because that's crazy. So did they say how many sneakers it was?
No, they didn't say. I mean, I don't know how many it was. They probably said it somewhere, but I didn't read that. But regardless of how many it was, I'm sure it wasn't 5. Like, that's a lot of sneakers to sell out.
1 minute?
In
they
1
were
minute.
Waiting. They were waiting.
Of course. Oh, absolutely. If you think they wait for Jordans outside of every finish line in Foot Locker, you think they're not waiting for Yeezys? Like, Yeezys. And the thing is, a lot of people, I used to work at a shoe store. I used to work at Finish Line back in my high school days, so I remember how the new releases used to go. And I also remember that people who worked with me, they used to buy up the shoes as well so that they can resell them. And they said, in the article I was reading, they actually said that people were bought up the shoes for $200 and were selling them for double. So you could probably find them somewhere online for like $400, maybe more, because people will pay that for Yeezys.
I'm not that motivated. I don't understand it, but I'm gonna tell you something. The way I watched everybody buy those Nikes when they first came out because of Michael Jordan and the money that they put in his pocket, over the years, him and whoever else owned the company. More power to Kanye. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I pray for Kanye so much all the time. You know what I mean? I watched him come through with his career, and I see him where he is when he's in the media. When people talk positive, when they talk negative. I just pray for him all the time. So I'm happy for him. And when I heard about that, but I also heard about he's a billionaire now.
Yes, apparently in 2020 they named him a billionaire on the Forbes list, and it's a Forbes list, so at that point it's accurate. Yeah. They know they count everybody's pockets, so they know. And
1.3 billion.
That's crazy. And the thing is, they were saying that I'm not gonna say most, but a large amount of his money and the fact that he is a millionaire is because of these shoes. Like I think he dropped his first ones in 2009. Like, that's when he dropped the first Yeezys, and that was like sponsored by or produced by Nike. Wow. And I don't know how much he made off that one, but that was the first one. And here we are in 2021 and he's dropping another one. And I know that
does he just drop one pair?
No, it's okay. So it's like he designs the shoes, like he creates like a design for the shoes and he drops that shoe, but he drops like multiple shoes. I think that's what you was asking.
Yeah. So okay. So when this went live in that 1 minute, did they buy out all of several different designs he created, or just one?
No, it's just one. Like, it's literally like he does like a style of shoe and then they buy it out. Now, I'm sure they could have them in different colors and things like that. Like, kind of how Jordans, but it's kind of like Jordans, like how he drops the one shoe and people buy it up. It's like that. Like, they buy it up. And
I'm telling you now, I promise you one thing true, two things for sure. The next time they drop Yeezys, I'm buying a pair and I'm holding them and I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna resell them.
Literally you will get so much money. It's like at this point, Yeezys are kind of like a statement piece. Like, it's kind of like if you got Yeezys, you got money. Even though the ones that he dropped, this one I think was sponsored by Adidas, so I guess it was a different price. But I remember back in I think it was I don't remember the exact year, but it was a few years back that he did a shoe, and it was a premium collection shoe, and it was sponsored by Louis Vuitton. Wow. And I was reading something that said that shoe sold for at least $1,000 per pair.
I'm not doing that.
At least, at the lowest.
Oh, I don't know. Let let me get my money up. When we sell one of these films, then I might buy. I'll buy a pair of Yeezy and sell it to some rich kid for, however much. But I'm serious. The next
Right.
time they come, I'm gonna have my finger right there at 7. He said it came out 7:01. I'm gonna have 7 o'clock. My finger on the dot, already in the cart.
You're gonna have to, because
My
at the
card
end of
number
the day,
in.
you're gonna have the app. I think you're gonna have fast fingers. You're gonna have the app. I feel like
Yep.
it's like when you call in at a radio station, like you
Yep.
just gotta like
That's gonna
call
be
at the time and like see if you get the busy signal and keep calling. Like I feel like it's the same on the app. Like you gotta press buy and then like see if it go through and then go back and try to repress it. Like you just gotta keep doing it until you get it, because
And some people
it's
probably
just
bought more than one. I can imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you bought it for $200 and you're selling it for $400,
Oh yeah,
you are making a crazy profit. Like you should buy at least 5.
yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I promise the next time that's what I'm gonna do.
Listen, that's less of a gamble than Forex, because I promise. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. Let me stop talking about them. But let me stop talking about them. But literally, you putting $200 up and getting 400. Like, come on. At this point, you might as well spend that money, and it's a guaranteed profit. It's many people who just want a pair, just to say they have a pair of Yeezys. Like
they're gonna have a pair because I'm gonna sell it to them. Watch.
Okay, but it's pretty much single-handedly made him a millionaire. These Yeezys, like he makes so much money off the shoes. I mean, a billionaire. Yeah, my bad, a billionaire.
He passed Jay-Z by 0.3.
And when you really think about it, the fact that he passed Jay-Z, it had to be the shoes. Like, it had to be a separate venture from his music. Not that his music doesn't sell, because his music is, classic.
I don't think Jay-Z became a billionaire from his music.
No, he became it from business ventures, probably.
I was say from a culmination of a few things, but
yeah, he's a businessman.
I'm you don't understand. Don't get me wrong. I was very proud of Jay-Z and I was happy for him. Trust me, I bopped my head to many of his songs and everything. So I always supported him, and he was always focused. I don't know about none of that negative stuff people saying because I don't know him, but I know he was always focused, and I was always proud of him. But I'm really proud of Kanye because he's been through so much. His car accident when he was younger. Young producer.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And so and I always pray for him, with his, because of his moms and stuff. And then, the things that he's been through since then, I just constantly pray for him. And then everybody be scaring me saying, oh, he better be careful because he associated with so-and-so family or whatever. So I just stay in prayer for him. And I'm real proud of him.
Yeah.
1.3 billion. If I played the picket, I'd play it in the lotto. But I don't play.
Yeah. And honestly, like, he took such a big gamble. I mean, honestly, the sneaker game is undefeated, but there's been so many people who have come out with sneakers and things like that, thinking that, they would have such an overwhelming amount of support, and it didn't work out. And it didn't, it didn't.
I won't name any because there's been a few basketball players in my time that came out with sneakers, and some of them
there's been a few in our time.
Some of them I didn't find was bad, but I think once Michael Jordan came out with his, it was just a wrap. See, and I think it had a lot to do with, like, when I was in a room the other day on Clubhouse. I don't know why Clubhouse is just controlling our universe, but I was on Clubhouse. They were talking about branding, and somebody was trying to make a point. I think the question was, what's better? And then we're gonna move to Alex. They said, what's better? Self-branding, your own personal brand, or your business brand, which should come first? So they were going back and forth, and I didn't know who to go with because I'm not in marketing, and so I felt like a freshman, like a kid out of water, or fish out of water. And so then somebody made the point, and they said, well, think about it like this. Michael Jordan, when they said that, it was a wrap. Everybody was like, oh, so you can see everybody's opinion changed. They were blinking their little, microphone light or whatever. And they realized that, and I'm sure somebody could still come with another point, but they realized, don't sleep on that personal brand. They said,
okay, because, go ahead.
No, they said he's a basketball player. He made his brand on the court, and then he put sneakers on his feet, and he put a stamp on it. Boom.
But that's the same with Yeezys. Like with Kanye. Kanye, his brand is who he is. He made his brand in rapping and various different things, like the things that he says being outlandish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. All of those things built his personal brand. So when he dropped the sneakers, everybody already knew him. They already loved him or felt whatever way they felt about him. So it was much easier to build his business brand. And I think like branding is the fact that I feel like a lot of his sneaker designs kind of correlate with who he is. Like his sneaker designs are so outlandish to me. You know, they look so different than, you know, what we see typically in sneakers. And that's who he is. He's different. He's out of the box. And he made sure to incorporate that in what he was producing as well. And I think that's what kind of propelled him forward, because he even said he told BET that in order to make his sneakers, he put up $16 million. He went $16 million in debt in order to put his shoes up, to make sure they looked the way he wanted them to look, to make sure they were what he wanted them to be. So even that, taking that big of a risk, big of a gamble to make sure that he put himself into what he was producing.
Yeah. He believed in himself. But I'm going to tell you something. I Googled it. And I'm looking at them sneakers. I only see a couple of them that I like. Some of them that I look at, they're bothering me. I feel like, you know, we getting ready to metamorphose or something. Like,
that's why I said they're unique. Like they look different. Like they're different looking.
They more than unique. They something else. It's just like, what was somebody thinking? But in any case, but you know, that's why he likes the shock treatment. So, you know, he does those kind of things. But you know, he's making money from it. But listen to this. One pair of Yeezy 700 is $250, and those are the cheapest ones. There's slippers, you know, the Adidas slippers that are $350. There is a sneaker that got some red letters that look like prison numbers and they kind of backwards or whatever. They're $392. Some sneakers that look like they part of a spaceship or something, they $339. And then there is a pair that just remind me of Fruity Pebbles or something. They are $976. They look like New Balance and Nike had a baby or something. I don't know. And then there's these other ones, these other ones that are gray with the red stripe, and they look like they got prison numbers on them. And those are $999. $999.
Yeah, those are the ones that dropped on March 6th.
That's they on eBay, so somebody must be reselling them.
Oh no, this is like his different collections probably.
Yeah, but that's a lot of daggone money.
But that's money, and that's why I'm saying like the sneaker game is undefeated. It is very easy, I feel like, to make money in the sneaker game, because once people like it, they will buy it every time you drop it. They will spend their whole rent check on a sneaker if they're sneakerhead. And there are so many people who are sneakerheads.
Black folks going way back to even like the 20s. Like once we started, you know, fending for ourselves and, you know, getting out there being independent after slavery, you know, we started first surviving, then we started, you know, trying to have the nice things for ourselves. And thus Black Wall Street until that crap happened. But in any case, we once we progressed to, you know, begin to work hard and get and do and have, you know, dressing nice and having nice footwear was a thing for real, for real. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm in love with these ones right here. It says Kanye Yeezy 750 Boost. I love them. They don't look like sneakers. They look like boots. They look more like boots, but they cost $2,344. So I will never have those in my lifetime. But they look good. They look really
they're expensive. They're not anything to play around with. You got to have the money for them. Like you got to save up.
I love you, Kanye. You don't even have to give them to me as a gift. I don't feel worthy. Like,
you know, listen, I don't think Kanye giving no gifts. He ain't taking no shorts. Okay, so he.
If I meet him and he say, you know what, you're a nice
He's not
person.
playing.
You might say, you know what, you're a nice person. I want to do something for you, you know, because you do stuff for a lot of people. You know, here. You know, don't just put them in a glass box and put them in a museum somewhere, and I'll sign a little card next to him singing the sneakers that Kanye gave Andrea. Like honestly, like look, when he first came out with sneakers and clothes and everybody was talking, I was one of the people talking about it, I ain't gonna lie. And I even posted something about the clothes. I thought they looked like slaves in them clothes. And that's what I said. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because they didn't have much of a color to him. And people were like, oh, he's genius. He's genius. I said, look, I love Kanye like the next guy, but I'm sorry. But I'm going to tell you why I now will say that he's genius. Not just because he's a billionaire, but he's genius because he stayed in his lane. He stayed true to his game. And people who liked him for it. Now, they might have thought he was deep and we didn't think so or whatever. But my thing is, he did not let go. He did not. He kept on. He liked it. He didn't care what nobody said. He kept at it. People began to appreciate him for that, and it built up into this. And I just think that's something for all of us to learn from, or take a page from their book from. But Alex, I'm gonna let you go ahead and tell us your story about entertainment. What you got for us today, Alex?
Yeah. Golden Globes releases statement promising a commitment to diversity and transparency. I've never watched the Golden Globes. I always usually watch, before COVID, I would always watch the Oscars and the Tony Awards. But I would always, follow up on the Golden Globes just because I was curious as to what happened, but not curious enough that I actually wanted to watch it. But I think it's great because I know before the Golden Globes happened, there was a lot of stuff going on in the media. I heard about how there wasn't a lot of diversity. It was very white, to say the least. And so I think it's great that that is going to happen, but I just can't understand why it couldn't happen, like why it's happening now. Like why?
Right, it's 2021 and y'all just released a statement.
Why did it take an award show during COVID times? And looking at it, it's all white people. Like, why did that have to be the thing to be like, oh, we need to change our format?
I think it's, and I don't want to say anything negative because one day I want a Golden Globe. How about that? But but no, to be true to the game, I think honestly, I think it's one of those things where certain things are current. And right now, I think those people who are not trying to do something to change or rectify the racism, they are looked at and or looked down upon. It's one of those kind of things where they used to say back in the day, you better jump on a bandwagon. You know what I mean? And so I think for some people that's what it is. Whether I don't know that if I was a white person who owned anything, a business, an award show, whatever, I don't know that I would know what to do, because if I just wanted to do me, and then I see where if I don't jump on a bandwagon and start, diversifying, then I may be looked at as, racist or going against the grain, and, lose my business and everything. So I guess I would jump on it too. I mean, make it vice versa. Make it where, everything starts getting so blackety black, like Deuce said in that movie. I think it was CB4 when Chris Rock was like, was it Chris Rock? No, it was Alan Payne when he was like, and I'm blackety black and I'm black, yeah. So if things get to that point to where it's all like that, and then people say, hey, wait, you're leaving somebody out, and then they decide, they want to talk that way, now somebody has a decision to make. Am I going to diversify and start adding some white people or other people of color to, what I have going on? It's a question that, folks have to ask. What side, or like someone said, what side of history do you want to be on? Do you want to be part of the problem or part of the solution? So that's the positive way. That's the positive way to look at it. The negative way would just be they're jumping on the bandwagon because they don't want to mess themselves up. The positive would be that, maybe they want to be on the right side of history. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But now, so what area are they making changes though?
I'm guessing, or not guessing, I did read it, sorry. Hold on. Why aren't you doing anything? Hello? Why can't you work?
But yeah, no, I definitely get like what you're saying, and I guess I didn't see it from that standpoint necessarily because, like we were talking about before, our generation has a really big cancel culture type of mindset. Like, well, why you waiting so long to do it? You just doing it now, but it is important to think of a lot of times, we don't see things as a problem, or until it's pointed out, we might not really like get it. And what side of history do you want to be on?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's better late than never, because they could have chose to not ever send out a statement, or, well, we've been doing it this long, let's just keep it the way it's been done. But the fact that they are recognizing that there's an issue, they're recognizing there's a problem here, and we want to be better, we should, not to say we should take their peace offering, but it's kind of like a peace offering type of thing. Like, we see that this is wrong, and that's what it's about. It's not about like, it's not about necessarily like shaming people forever for a mistake they've made, but it's more about, okay, now we're educating you on what is wrong here. And either you can take it and you can make changes, or you can stand firm in what you've been doing and say, I don't see any issue, and continue to do what you're doing. And when people do make those necessary changes, or, at least work towards making those necessary changes, we can't always, I guess, fault them for the mistake that they made previously. So I do get where you're coming from. And I kind of see that as a thing.
Sorry, my computer froze, so I couldn't even like go over what, because I have everything bullet pointed. They're going to hire someone like an expert who can help in diversity and inclusion, to make sure that they are going to be doing all those things. They're also going to be having annual anti-racism and unconscious bias education and sexual harassment training for the HFPA. Adding Black and other underrepresented professionals to the organization, hiring a law firm to review the policies. They can make sure people can report any violations of the new stuff. Creating transparency for voting and eligibility. And increasing their support of internship, mentorship, and scholarship programs for Black and other underrepresented students.
What crossed my mind is this is not our first time at the rodeo, though. Maybe in certain areas, but I can't remember exactly what year, but affirmative action has been around for a long time. So they were very much aware that they were not hiring Black people or people of color. And that's the reason why the affirmative action rules, came into play. And so, and I'm not talking about just the Golden Globes now. I'm talking about businesses, period. And they still continue to, hire who they wanted. Sometimes they would hire more Black and Latinos or people of color in the lower level position, so much that you were always seeing them. But they weren't hiring them in the upper positions, like the above the line, the administrative positions. And then sometimes when people wanted to move up, they couldn't. They were pigeonholed in the job that they had, and it was made to feel like, thank God you have one. You know what I mean? So the affirmative action has been around, and that's all this is. This awareness, it's just, affirmative action. It just was not imposed in certain areas, and especially not entertainment, but it's been around and nobody paid attention. Again, I'm not talking about Golden Globe or any other place in particular, but I'm just saying that it's affirmative action has been around, and by law they were supposed to have X, not in every area, like I said, not in every industry, but they were supposed to have so many, of this, race and that. For example, I worked in a painters union. I was in the International Brotherhood of Painters and Allied Trades, and I painted and I hung wallpaper. And they had to have a certain amount of women, they had to have a certain amount of Black people, Latinos, they had to have even a certain amount of other races. It wasn't just, people of color. And I remember even when I stopped working, because after I had my daughter, I just wasn't built for that no more. And I started working as a temp, and I was working at the old Gibraltar building, the Prudential building downtown Newark. And I remember they had the guys downstairs cleaning out the asbestos. And I remember when the paperwork would come through, I had to process it. And we had to have so many people of color. And because we had one Black guy of color in a managerial position, they only had one, because that would have made up for having one guy in a higher position made up from having a bunch of other guys, a bunch of guys in a lower position. This was their rationale, I guess. And but then the guys that were the workers, the that were really like, probably I think it was about 25 of them maybe, they were all Polish. Ask me how I know, trying to pronounce and say their names. And I remember that, and not all of them spoke English. They had like one or two that would come and speak, for them or whatever. But so again, affirmative action had been around, but people, they used it how they saw fit. They maneuvered within. So I don't know, I just wanted to point out that this whole, being aware or being woke or being inclusive, it's just got a different name now. It's and it pisses me off sometimes. I want better for us, but I want equality for everybody. But what bothers me is when people latch onto a word and then it becomes like something that everybody is saying now, and it's right now it's about a handful of words or terms that are being used to, talk about this whole inclusiveness, but it was supposed to have been done a long time ago and not done for a while and then let go.
Mm.
And so we won't go into too much of that right now, and we won't go into another part because I want to talk about this on another day. I want to talk about on the next show. I want to talk about, or the next episode, I want to talk about how there's so many grants and opportunities for women of color, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going to happen to the men. So
Mm.
we'll talk about that next time. So, but it was a really good first episode of I'm just saying. Almost forgot my own title. And I know, right? It's crazy. So to everybody in the audience, you were talking to Peyton Bryant, you were talking to Alex Poe and Andrea Clinton, and we will continue what I'm just saying. But before we leave, Peyton, tell everybody what you got going on.
So as I've probably stated probably a billion times, I'm an actress. And I'm actually working on a series right now called Phase 6. It's supposed to be coming out April 20th. So 4/20, it'll be debuting. Right now it's on YouTube. So definitely check that out, Phase 6. And I'm also working on a few projects with Andrea as well. We just shot a short film called The Wife. So that'll be coming out very soon. I'm super excited to bring that to you guys. And just look out for me. Y'all got my name. Y'all know the name. So
yeah. Tell me your social media.
Yes, my social media. Okay, it's complex. So get y'all pen pad out so y'all can write it down correctly. But
I'll make sure I put it in the notes in the comments.
Yes, please, please, because I hate saying it. I'm probably gonna change it one day, but who knows when that'll happen. But
it's too daggone long. I should be, again, like I told the actors, I should be able to just go type your name in, Peyton Bryant, and then it comes up maybe with an underscore or something. And I'll see the picture and say, oh yeah, that's her. That's the actor.
Maybe I'll put my name in the bio, so then you'll be able to type it up, and it'll be like that. But I'll try to be incognito.
Wait. Take a breath and let's backtrack a little bit because a big stupid truck went by, and I know I'm gonna have to go over that again so we don't hear that truck sound like a fart. So I was like, we definitely gonna have to do that again. So all right, tell them your social media. Well, you can tell them your social media now. All right, so why don't you give them your social media?
Okay, so my social media is DEE _ OHH _ P.E _ Okay, I'm gonna give that to you.
Element of P. HIJ element.
It's complex. I know. When I created it, that's a story for another time. But okay, so it's DEE _ OHH _ P.E _ It's gonna change one of these days, but not right now. But that's my Instagram, so definitely follow me.
Yeah, when she changes it, I'll change it in the comments because she definitely need to change it. So maybe y'all can comment and tell her
on some names for me to put for my Instagram name. Maybe I'll pick up one of the names that y'all comment.
Yeah, please, everybody chime in. All right, Alex, what you got going on?
Just continuing to work with you, I guess.
She makes me so sick. She don't ever had nothing. Go ahead, Alex. Contribute. Say something. Tell them. Let the people get to know you. Share Alex with the people.
I am also an actor. Haven't done much of it though ever since COVID, unfortunately. But still, trying to do what I can on Zoom, and I found Clubhouse, which is a very nice platform. My social media on Instagram is ALIXPOAGE. It's my name, but instead of an E in the Alex, it's an I, because when I first got Instagram, I tried that, but apparently there was already an Alex Pogue, so I just changed the one letter, and Instagram allowed it.
There's more than one of you.
People call me Alex anyway, so it fit.
Hey, you see what she did, right, Peyton? I was saying, tell them something about you. She said one or two things and went right to, and my social media is.
Right.
So now you guys know who Alex is. She's just going to be that silent person in the background. She's our tech person, always there, always making it happen. Trust me when I tell you, Peyton and Alex are my pillars of strength. My anchors, they hold me together. Trust me when I tell you. For real, for real. That's why I said my first show had to be with you guys and you guys alone. And then so I don't know, but we'll probably break it up and have some guests. We'll figure it out. But I had to do it with you guys because we work hard, we make it happen. I need somebody to give us some grants so I can pay these two young ladies. I give them something every now and again, but they work so much harder than what I'm able to give. So if you guys want to do something for the Cash App, I'll make sure I put that below as well. But yeah, any grants you guys, please send them my way. TEAClinton@AOL.com. And I believe that might even be the Cash App. Maybe. I don't know. I'll figure it out and I'll put it in the comments. Anyway, so yeah, so they forgot to tell you that Alex wasn't gonna tell you, and Peyton forgot to tell you that they are in Cassidy the series, which is a dramatic comedy. And we have some more episodes that we're gonna put out soon. I probably have to get somebody else to edit because I just don't have the time. So much stuff going on. I just partnered with 6 other partners, and we're starting a streaming platform that's gonna be on Apple TV, Roku. What's the other one? Fire Stick. iOS. Is that how you pronounce it? iOS, or do you say iOS? I never know.
I actually don't know, but sound good to me.
It's going to be on one of those, and it's also going to be on Android TV, Chrome. It's going to be on all of those. And then this podcast, we're getting it started. And once we are up and rolling live, the podcast will also be on the platform. And so we'll be on iHeart, Spotify, and all those other good places. But yeah, so stay tuned with us. Cassidy, the dramatic series is, dramatic comedy is coming with the rest of the episodes that we have. We might even have it up on another platform. I had a few people reach out to me, and somebody keeps telling me put it on ITV. So I got to do some research and see what that's about. So I'm also, as a lot of you may know, working on a dramatic, action-packed thriller series called Hits, which stands for Heroes in These Streets. I'll be putting the flyer out soon. Maybe I'll put them all out together so it's one big boom bang pow. But the series is on human trafficking coming to the hood. Tagline or logline is when human trafficking hits the hood hits back. Peyton is Lily. Alex is Kennedy. Peyton is one of the earliest series episodes. She comes in one of the early episodes, and then she's throughout. Alex comes in, I think, somewhere around episode 4 or 5. I'm not sure because we just added a whole other situation. So, but yeah, it's all about getting those human traffickers out of the community. And then in addition to that, we're also working on a documentary on human trafficking. A lot of good things coming with that. Well, I don't know, not good things. That's so horrible. But a lot more information coming with that, with the documentary. Discovery Channel opened up their portal to me, so let's pray that all ends well with us. having the series up there. First, it'll be a documentary, and then, of course, we'll pitch the docu-series to them. So, keep us in your prayers for that, and look out for that documentary. And also, there's going to be another documentary on living with lupus, with my life, and a few friends that I've met that have lupus, to just try to share the knowledge about lupus. But that's it for me. My social media is TEA Clinton 13, and that's on Instagram, that is Facebook, and also Twitter. And then my other Instagram is Andrea Clinton 13, at Andrea Clinton _. And there you're gonna find tips on acting and different things in entertainment, as well as what we're up to. So that's it for this show, and we will see you the next time. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to I'm Just Saying with Andrea and friends. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to share, because sharing is caring. Like, comment. Also, if you never want to miss an episode, subscribe, baby.
The figures in the shadows of others climb to the mother. Every day is a dark day. Every day there's no love, there's no love.